Next thing we have is, we're gonna take item number 25. Morellis. Wants for,
Come up, have a seat.
yep. Yeah, please, have a seat here. Okay, so, it's a new license, bartend at Senior Soul.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says you,
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
you've got two,
Oh,
Alderman Hayes.
yeah, thanks. And Mr. Morales, how many OWIs have you had? It's two? Okay. Yeah, sometimes that's a little unclear because of how it's registered in our records. I believe you. You would know how many OWIs you had. That's a concern for us and for our committee, especially when it's an alcohol-related infraction like an OWI. That tells us, and Alderman Weigel explains this very well frequently. I'm going to do that for Alderman Weigel. That tells us that on at least two occasions you made bad choices for yourself, and you did not obey the law, and we need our servers, our bartenders, our operators to obey the law and to make good decisions, not just for themselves, but also for others. And generally in this committee, two OWIs is a concern that we need to talk about. Three OWIs, number three, is a really big problem for our committee. I say that when I'm saying don't get number three. That could very well jeopardize your license. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
you're not going to finish the speech?
You were doing, I'll leave it for you.
You were doing so well. Just so you know, as a licensed bartender in our city, we expect you to be a partner in the city in solving problems. Now, Senior Soul is, I don't think we ever had a problem with them at all. I mean, he runs a nice place there. It's a nice Mexican restaurant, my daughter's favorite. But if there's a problem, we want, if you, as Alderman Haas will say, if you ever think you should call 911, call 911. Let the licensed and trained professionals come take care of problems for you. The police will be there. There may also be an occasion where there'll be a compliance check where there may be somebody sent in there who's not 21. I guess I don't know what the policy is there, but a lot of bars will, if you get caught serving a minor, I mean, you'd be on the hook for the ticket, and it's several $100s. And a lot of places will, you lose your job. So it's an important thing for us. That being said, I'll move approval.
Second.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, the full council's got to vote on it a little bit later, and then it'll be mailed out if you don't pick it up after 3.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, okay.
Tomorrow.
So you don't have the license till you actually have the license. You could pick it up tomorrow in the clerk's office before 3 o'clock. If you don't pick it up tomorrow, it'll get mailed to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
John Baker. Okay, so you're gonna open up a,
Binary.
so, have you ever done that before?
Reopen the binary.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm just asking it.
We're just gonna keep it going like it is,
Oh.
but just
Let me see. Okay,
the new management.
okay. Does anybody got any questions
Oh,
on this?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigel.
So, I see there's a couple people with same last names. You have a family member, partner?
My brother and my other two, those are all my business partners.
Okay. And do any of you have experience either working in or managing a licensed establishment in southeastern Wisconsin, or?
I worked in a liquor store when I was younger.
Okay. And you're buying the building? Oh, congratulations. So you heard a little bit of my speech, our speech to the licensed bartender. Binary hasn't been a problem. I think the previous operator, we had some,
Oh, yeah.
Long time before.
but binary hasn't been. So you're gonna kind of keep it in that same kind of theme. I saw the application had a lot of video games and stuff on. You're gonna keep that whole thing there, and no bands or anything. So you're gonna stay with that, okay?
Yes.
You know, again, you're familiar with the laws. You can only buy from licensed wholesalers. You need to be licensed bartender not only on the premises, but unlicensed bartenders need to be working under their direct supervision. So you can't say, well, I was in the office, I had a license, the guy done bartending. That's not direct supervision. You know, closing hours are important. You're familiar with all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
So, I'm gonna move approval based on, subject to necessary requirements.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck. How
Thank you, sir.
how quickly do you turn it around, do you think? I mean, you're gonna, it's been open, right?
Yeah, well, we.
As soon as the paperwork goes through,
That's
Yeah.
basically.
Pretty much.
well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
We
Thank
hope
you
to see
very
you
much.
there.
Yeah.
Steve Mayak?
Just pretend there's one eye.
Oh, Mike.
Mick.
Steve Mike.
Mick.
How's it going?
Okay.
Is it Mick or Mike?
It's Mick.
Mick.
Okay,
Oh,
taking over, the place has been doing real well as of late, the last few years. We had a lot of problems there for a long time, and we haven't heard anything. I don't wanna hear anything, you know, and so, have you been involved in the business or know anything?
That particular one or the industry?
Both.
That particular one, I've gone in 3 times just to check it out. The industry, I've been in 18 years now. That's all I do, so. I actually looked at binary before.
Biggest bar in West Allis.
I know. Pro and a con.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's what the capacity said, yeah.
So, okay, so you're familiar with all the rules and regulations, you know, we do compliance checks, you know, all the time, so, just make sure everybody watches it, so. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I have some
Oh,
questions.
wait,
I'll move approvals for discussion.
I'll second.
subject to necessary requirements?
Yeah, subject to.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in Waggle.
A couple questions. No bands?
No bands.
You're not gonna do bands?
I'll be removing the stage.
Okay, because the last guy did bands and it was kind of his thing. It's
Mhm.
not your thing, I get it,
Not my thing.
okay? And then I haven't seen this checked, and maybe the city clerk can help me here. Other, and then it says entertainment club, application attached, 9.31.
I haven't looked at that.
That could potentially be in reference to the games.
So, it's not a bowling, you're not gonna do karaoke?
No,
You're never gonna do karaoke?
no,
Okay. No pool tables?
no,
No live music ever?
no.
Phonograph, is that the jukebox?
Jukebox is separate, I believe.
There's a phonograph checkbox, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Jukebox you didn't check, no jukebox,
I didn't?
you didn't.
There's a
Copy I
jukebox
have.
in there currently, so it should be checked.
Yeah. Yeah, you may wanna
Take
amend
care.
that application.
Work that
Uh, No poetry reading.
What was that?
Poetry reading. And so,
Might
and
have
I'm-
a jam
and I'm
night, I don't know.
on the amusement machines, you have 4 and then you have a TBD.
Yeah, I don't have any of them.
So you're gonna use Reds or somebody, or maybe?
I'd rather buy my own, to be honest, but I just don't, I'm not gonna do that right away.
Okay.
So I have the form in here, and then, I spoke with the lady up front, and she said, you know, when and if that happens,
Yeah,
then I
they
just
need to be
register 'em
licensed.
with you guys, yep.
And again, the last checkbox here, there's an other on the application. Steve, do you have this? And it says entertainment club. It's written in there, and it says 9.31. Does that mean anything to you? I don't know what that means.
Entertainment club. See attached.
And there was no attachment. Maybe there is there.
Yeah.
hadn't seen that before.
You filled this out, right?
Yeah, she actually wrote that in there. I'm trying to remember what that would have been covering.
Dancing, oh, potentially if there were to be a DJ, could that be that?
You got
If
dancing?
only we
Did you
have
check
ordinances.
dancing?
Dancing should,
Dancing by performer?
Not dancing by
Not
people,
pro,
but,
but,
but I did. Yeah, patrons dancing. Yes.
And then
so
that's
I think
probably
entertainment was
related-
probably for the DJs.
disc jockey.
Yep.
Okay. I just hadn't seen that before, so, okay. And you said you 18 years in the business?
Mhm.
Any places we might have heard of locally, or?
Currently I'm downtown, with a group called Wild Planet Hospitality Group. We have McGillicuddy's, Red Rock, Patterson,
Oh, okay.
the Pub Club, previously Red, White, and Blue, and the Brass Alley. We also have Demoda. Before that, I was in Ohio for 5 years, running places in 3 different cities. So,
Okay. Did you have any alcohol-related problems in Ohio or any of your other locations? You're not running like giant underage kid bars or anything like that?
big pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
It's honestly a big reason I want to move out to the suburbs. It's an older crowd.
Okay.
So.
Is that a good thing or?
No, it's bad, yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh, kid bar is bad.
No,
Oh.
being out in the suburbs is a good thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
just
suburbs
checking.
good, right.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
You got a timeline?
Closing is supposed to be 12/12.
You bought the building?
I'm buying the building. Yeah, it's a light remodel, so I'd love to be open by New Year's or before.
Oh, okay.
So it would be very, very fast.
Good
But
luck.
in a perfect world, that would be the case.
Steve,
So.
for the trivia contest, that's what the entertainment part was for.
Oh, okay.
Trivia.
Well, that'd be
Like
patron
bar trivia.
contests. Patron contests.
If we were to do that.
Yeah, you wanna maybe look at that application,
Yeah, we'll
add
take a look
patron
at it.
contests.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, then we, item number 28.
Move
Uh,
approval
let's-
subject to necessary requirements.
Second,
Well, these are just license
yeah, they're all
applications,
just,
so I think it's just approval.
Technically, they're all with necessary requirements.
Yeah, true.
Vote on his? There was a motion and a second, I'm not sure there was a vote.
Yeah, we voted.
No, we didn't,
Okay.
we, oh, on that last one?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
okay, alright.
Okay, so they got a motion, subject to necessary requirements, Alderman May, did I get a second?
second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Then we have 29, this is for.
Move approval.
Second.
any
Mr. Chair,
fur-
I got a question.
Al- Alderman May.
The Holy Assumption Food Pantry is holding Chris Kindle Market.
They're the organization for for the beer license. They're probably contracting a local restaurant, are they? Do you know? Who's doing the beer?
No, they are.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
gonna purchase it.
Oh, okay.
Run the whole thing?
Yeah, because they have to, like a retailer have
somebody
to
up.
purchase
Yeah.
from a licensed
Yeah.
wholesaler, so they're
Mhm.
doing that and they're supplying the
I was
bartenders.
just, thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
A
but
food
they
pantry.
found, yeah, that's who we found. It was an issue for us going for a number of years. Who would do it?
Mhm.
They
Good.
stepped up.
Glad they stepped up, yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then we have number 30, the police report.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And then we got item 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. These are all the police reports.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we have item number 36. This is the license for the Citgo Sunrise Station.
Move approval.
Subject to necessary requirements.
I'll second.
Okay, hold on a second, use louder.
Okay.
Is there any further
I
discussion
was
on
using
this?
my indoor voice.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Who cares?
All right. And administration and finance will come to order. All 5 members are present. Starting with item number 5, a resolution authorizing staff to complete and file a water rate increase application with the Public Service
Move
Commission.
approval.
A motion from Alderman Weigel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman May. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And item 6 is the mayor's budget. Who wants to pass the budget?
Today's the day.
Today's
Move
the
approval.
day. Thank you.
I'll second.
A motion from Alderman Weigel, a second from Alderman May. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we had asked as a committee to have staff come back to us on two things. One is for additional inspection to be done through building inspection, proactive inspection, to get a cost estimate on that, and to see if we wanted to make any decisions. And the second one was to see how much it might cost to have a redevelopment plan done for the area of Highway 100 from the railroad tracks to the North City limit, and from I-41 to about 113th, 116th. And I was just curious to know how that came out.
So the first item, I met with Ed Lisinski from Building Inspection, and we talked about different options. The best option that we're looking at is increasing the neighborhood service liaison position from a .50 to .75 position. Hopefully, we will be able to cover. The recommendation for covering that increase would be about $15,000 increase. Looking at maybe doing that through the carryover process, or if we need to reallocating from another department that has vacancies in the 2019 budget, so
So
that,
budget neutral
yes.
for now. Okay.
The second item, Patrick Schloss is here from Development.
And actually, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to jump back. Yeah, .75, do you need it authorized within the budget? Or would you
Correct,
wanna-
that would need an amendment. You would need to amend the budget to increase that position authorization from .50 to .75.
I make that motion to amend that position to .75.
We have a
Second on the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So any discussion on the amendment?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigel.
Rebecca, that's a seasonal position?
Well, it can be a seasonal. She'll be working when it's mostly
Okay.
needed, so.
And is this benefits or not? I'm just
It's
wondering-
already a benefited position,
At
so,
.5,
right.
and at what point I'm just wondering at what point is it more than just payroll? Is there gonna be a differential in the
It's already becomes a differential when you move from a .5
5
to
to
.75. Anything,
and
yes.
that's all anticipated in?
That's with
Within your
that's
budget.
the 15,000.
Okay, we're gonna make that, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
And the second item, met with development yesterday to come up with some suggestions. Patrick is here and has some information for you regarding this.
So, committee asked Development Department to explore the review of a study of Highway 100 in terms of the area from pretty much the interstate or the northern city limit to the railroad track on Highway 100. The railroad track on the east along Greenfield Avenue and Greenfield to 116th Street. So we reviewed that area. And there are some ongoing changes. The area's evolving. Bake and Save, Burger King, Sam's Club, and now we've recently heard Hobo. Retail's changing. Some of those properties are industrial. And we recently heard Tulsa's also looking at, Tulsa is looking at a study to the northern part of our city limit, around a 100-acre redevelopment area to the north. And when you look at our northern entrance along Highway 100, it could improve. We have quad and car lots and various uses and not a lot of uniformity, just a lot of different things. So we discussed this, staff. We reached out to Grafe, Vanderwall, and SB Friedman, just kind of exploring what different techniques could be used to, if we were going to analyze this area per the request. And one of the first things we think is to really do an opportunity or market analysis study, which is around $30,000, And the back side is the map of that area that we would study, just to see what the economic overview would be for the commercial, office, and industrial markets. Hate to do designs of something that might not even be feasible. And using that data to help deploy a redevelopment plan or vision kind of concept. So when you look at the different types of items, number two is something that we've kind of started already. When we did the comprehensive plan for the city, we did two studies of Highway 100, and we had vignettes done, designs in terms of the area of Hobo, and as well as kind of around the old Sam's Club area. But this was more of a access and transportation-oriented kind of concept versus the changes that are happening in the market. So we did do some analysis. So that therefore our recommendation would probably stay a little bit away from the design reuses of underutilized sites and get into more of the redevelopment plan and implementation strategy if you're going to look at a broader vision for this corridor. A public outreach meeting for the consultants generally run 5,000, maybe a little bit more, depends on what they have to prepare for these meetings. Even though you have a meeting where you welcome the public in, it's good to have your homework done before you have such a session, so consultants do have to put time in for those sessions. So at the end, 1 in 3 would recommend a budget of around $75,000 to do such a study. And we say plus or minus because we need to have room one way. People might come in less, some of the services might come in lower based on the RFP process. So, and that is our homework and what for the committee for what you asked. The funding source. And I think we've had some discussions whether it could be used from carryover funds or budget funds that did not get spent, or it gets transferred maybe into the CIP program at some point. So, but my goal would be to maybe start this next year in the first quarter, along with the other RFP that we're working on for Burnham Point neighborhood, 60th and Beloit.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman May.
I think this is something that definitely should be done. I mean, living with 2 of the 4 neighborhoods in my district, constantly complaining about the Pick and Save going nowhere, with the Burger King going nowhere, with Sam's Club being vacant, with Hobo going soon. As Patrick had mentioned, this is an extremely tired area of the west side of the city of West Allis. We put a lot of resources in our east end. With Hales Corners doing so much on Highway 100 on their south end, with Wauwatosa working now to do so much on their north end. We need to be doing something about our prime real estate along Highway 100. And so I'd make a motion, well, we could do it through carryover.
That would be the recommendation, that when we bring the carryover forward and talk about the capital, that we would talk about this at that time.
So we don't approve it for this. We would take care of it.
Can I-
So I'm not gonna make, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you can finish your financial, then I just wanna share.
No.
Okay. The idea of this is really to help elevate the vision. We've talked to property owners in this area and developers. One of the property owners today came in and met with us, and they could easily do a re-tenant of their building, but they wanna think bigger. And the first thing they suggest, maybe we should build a hotel. And not to say that's going to happen, I'm not saying that at all, but it was good to hear that there's something bigger here, something more that could happen in this corridor. And that's really why we believe the study then could influence those decisions, the investors, the developers, and things like that. So,
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Alderman May.
I think one of the biggest challenges we have here is access. We've got a number of smaller lots that they don't really interconnect. I think if we had a bigger vision, like you're mentioning, it would do more to incentivize maybe some relocations, some redevelopment within the area. So if that's going to be as part of the carryover, we can have that discussion then, and we can do it without impacting our budget. I'd be fine with that. But I guess when does the carryover work come to us?
Late February.
Late February? But to get started in the first quarter.
Could approve it separately.
Yeah.
We have a lot of carryover recommended to go to the
Dog park.
CIP, so
Absolutely.
it'll be contingent upon that.
Mm-hmm.
Dog park's got dibs on it.
We just allocated a bunch of money through CDBG for the dog park, didn't we?
No,
all of our pet
Yeah.
projects.
no, not
Yeah.
CDBG for the
No,
dog
that
park.
wasn't
No,
CDBG.
no.
Oh, wrong
No,
area.
Yeah.
no, it was carryover. It's carryover.
Well, there's money in here for it too. Okay, so what you're saying is, wait for the carryover?
That would be the recommendation. I don't know if they're, I don't know if the mayor has any, did you want to add?
I do.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mayor
Chair.
Devine.
I sent an email out to a couple people today, whose districts are impacted directly by this, but my concern is, why stop at these borders when we've got retail basically falling all around us? Highway 100 goes all the way down to Morgan in West Allis, and, I think with the trends in retail, with the e-commerce industry that's out there, I think every alderman has got corridors in their district that they would like to see studied and some extra attention paid to, and we've been working on Burnham Point for a couple of years now and getting that going. And I really wonder if we can do this and not impact projects that are already underway, I'm fine with that. But also, I really think we should be looking at a holistic approach community-wide, because we may not have targets in our community closing, but there are targets in our neighbors' communities closing. We just found out recently another retailer in the 5th district on National Avenue is not renewing their lease, so we're gonna end up with another vacancy, and I think those are gonna be epidemic in the coming years. And I think rather than just focus on one intersection, we should really look at a citywide. I mean, I don't think every corridor should have this intense of a study, but I think we really gotta think in a bigger picture to the potential for vacant big box stores in the future.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman May.
I don't disagree with that at all. But I don't wanna wait either. I don't wanna wait on Highway 100. We've gotta get something going, and if we wanna extend it all the way to Morgan, I think that makes sense. You're right, yeah, what's gonna happen with the market with all this retail dropping out? It seems a lot of communities right now, the big thing is to put in distribution centers. That's where it's going.
Actually, Friday's session, I had a real estate thing that was at, that the gentleman said that retail is progressing. So Walmart stores are becoming more distribution centers than they are retail stores. And I kind of was like, really? And it's because the consumer wants their product within 2 hours, and they're going to compete against Amazon that way. So Amazon's going to be looking for pods of land where they can distribute from, or retailers to work together. So the mayor, and your comments are correct on e-commerce and how it's changing.
And Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I think grocery stores are expected to follow that.
Yes.
With deliveries and, competing with Peapod. And so that's, not saying it's gonna happen, but it's a potential for 3 more vacancies along Highway 100.
So I think what we need is a comprehensive plan for the city again, is that what we're looking at? I mean, it's been a decade.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I believe there was, part of the comprehensive plan requires an update, some in the middle, and we're at
We're in
that
the middle,
point. So that might be something to explore. As far as the weighting, I mean, that's kind of up to the council whether
We leave that
you wanna-
decision up to you.
And Mr. Chair?
Alderman May.
In this quarter, we've talked about, recently we rezoned a piece of land in here to commercial, and there's talk about maybe to go back to M1, and there's all these different discussions. It just seems very stagnant here. Things are looking good to the south, not here. And so, again, if our discussion is, we'll take care of it at carryovers, then we can move on. But I don't want us to forget the topic either. I think this is something we need to give special focus to, because we need to see some activity or some planning go on. This is a dead zone on what is probably our busiest intersection in the city.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
I'm not suggesting it's gonna solve itself, but I think a lot of the problems there were tied to the zoo interchange construction and the limited access that the businesses and the residents dealt with there for the last 4 years. Greenfield Avenue, Highway 100, it's been a mess trying to get in and out of there, and it's all substantially done now. But yeah, we should do something there, and I'm just concerned about the timing too and the carryover money.
One of the things that we possibly could do is go forward with an RFP for a larger area or whatever, and then we would have a knowledge of the possible
Actual
costs
Yeah.
at the time of the carryover, because you know,
Our
otherwise.
dollar amount would change, just making sure.
But
Quite a
more
bit,
of a
huh?
realistic understanding.
Yes, that's not going down.
So, if that's, you know, something you would want us to look at, we can maybe explore that with during our administrative task force meetings and things, we can talk about that and,
Come back with a plan.
yeah.
Do we want the Safety and Development Committee to chime in on this also? We are talking about development.
I mean, it might be something of the CDA,
Oh, okay.
to talk about that, because, some of our development areas are being developed, and hopefully we'll have a few more here, shortly. But, where are the next key redevelopment areas? And we were talking among staff and, planning that a lot of things are happening on the east side, and then west side might become the area of Highway 100 area that, like, the retail stores in some of these areas might be the next area to review. So.
It's gonna take us a hotel on Highway 100, come on, ridiculous.
Okay.
All right. So I think we're getting the point
Yeah.
here of the discussion. We're going to discuss this
Not
at
gonna
carryover
impact
time.
this.
No.
Right.
And okay, very good. Any further discussion on the budget as a whole? And we already have a motion and a second on the budget as a whole, and we already passed our amendment. So we don't have any further discussion on the budget as a whole. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And item 7 is ordinance for the funds for our budget.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Weigel, second from Alderman Chaplesky. And any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 8, ordinance to repeal and create the revised municipal code regarding the administration of crash billing fees. Chief Pooler, yeah, can you tell us about this, please?
Good evening. All right, I don't know if you had the final version of the ordinance attached to the agenda or not.
I have it here.
Okay.
I would hope
That,
so.
yeah, yeah.
It didn't look like it was attached to me,
Yes.
but okay.
Oh, okay.
So what, so we had some negative press lately from Box 6 with crash billing. If you read the online version of the article, in addition to the news story that ran, at the bottom they had a chart breaking out all of the communities in the metro area. Basically, everybody charges a fee along this lines, but we are the focus of the story. If you look at the chart, we're not the highest fee by any means, we're not the lowest, we're kind of upper half in the middle. And some municipalities charge residents and non-residents, we charge strictly non-residents. But in reviewing our ordinance, which was put into place, I think, 2 fire chiefs ago, there are a couple areas I think we can improve upon. One is I would propose changing it to exclude vehicles that are legally parked. So we probably get about 12 to 15 complaints a year on this, and a good portion of the complaints come in, people were saying, I was parked doing some shopping, or I was parked at a friend's house, and somebody rear-ended me, and I got a bill. I think that's something we can easily address in the ordinance. Say if you're legally parked, you simply don't get a bill. The other half of this, I would propose expanding this to include responses to vehicle fires that we clean up afterwards. The reality is we use the same resources to clean up after a vehicle fire that we do for a vehicle crash, if not more. You got broken glass, melted plastic on the pavement, we're sweeping up absorbent material for the fluids that leak from the car. So in one way, I'm proposing kind of narrowing the scope of this a little bit and then expanding it a little bit to include vehicle fires.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
is this just in the public right of way, or would this include on private property, or even like in a, say, a mall parking lot?
The vehicle fire part, the way it's worded, would be all vehicle fires, regardless of where they're parked. And speaking with our billing company, they're, almost every homeowner's insurance has a rider built in to cover that $500 fee for the fire department response anyway, so there should be no net impact to anybody that's insured.
And if we respond under Mabus in Wauwatosa or in Greenfield or another community, do we charge this fee?
No, the fee's only for our city.
And it does include on the interstate system also?
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May.
got a couple questions. What services are we charging this for? I mean, if there's a crash and the fire department responds and the cleanup involves just sweeping glass, we're not charging them $500 to sweep glass.
So that's one problem with the ordinance. There's no efficient way to measure how much cleanup you're doing. So what happens is our administrative assistant reads each crash report, and if it references cleaning up anything, then she sends that bill to the billing company.
And
So-
with that, I remember when this went through, I think the idea was that it was supposed to be for the cleanup of environmental things. So if it was gas leaking out or
Oil,
transmission
fluid.
fluid, things like that, that's what we would charge for. And I think it was just sort of an understanding with the chief.
Okay.
So, like you said, that was actually 3 chiefs ago.
Right.
So that, I don't think that's carried through, and maybe that's a change we'll have to consider making. I don't know if we want to hold this or make it separate, but the other thing I had thought of that people had brought up to me was, all right, so we leave here and I hit somebody on accident from outside or who lives outside the city. That person gets a bill, that person's insurance sends it to mine, and my insurance pays for it. Assuming I have insurance, I do. So we don't have to assume. Now if I leave and I run into Alderman Chaplesky, there's no billing fee included.
Correct.
In the end, the resident's insurance got the ding. So the resident still got the ding for the crash, even though it involved a non-resident. So the question is, why do we differentiate non-resident from resident if the resident in the end is the one who's going to get a bill?
Only if it's his fault.
Right. But if it's the resident's fault,
At fault in the accident.
at fault against another resident, why doesn't he get the charge? And they're
I see what you're saying. I think we exchanged an email. Part of the problem with us is determining fault is sometimes a police officer can determine that in 5 minutes. Sometimes there's accident recreation crews that come out and it takes days. And sometimes lawyers get involved or insurance companies get involved and it takes years to determine fault. Which is why I think the initial appetite was to just bill the non-resident and let the insurance companies kind of find out who's going to end up getting stuck with the bill.
and I just wonder, the rest of the council, watching some of the comments online, there were people in the city even saying, gee, I like that I don't have to pay, but it's not really fair that if I hit someone from outside the city, I'm going to get the bill, but if I hit somebody within the city, I'm not. There will be no bill. It would make more sense to make it for everybody or nobody. And so, if we tighten this up, maybe some of the language, either now or in a future proposal, would we want to narrow it up to an environmental cleanup and a fire and kind of thing? But at the same time, would we want to expand it to include residents? And maybe that's a topic for another day. But I do think this is going to come back to us. I think we should discuss this again. For now, I'm okay with these changes, and I think we should move forward. But I think we should revisit this to
Mr. Chair?
clean it up.
Alderman Weigel.
I concur with what Alderman May said about if it's a broom and a dustpan,
Sure.
that shouldn't be $500. And I understand there's probably a minimum where it makes sense.
Right.
I'm not saying make it $25.
Right.
But how about if it's like, if there's an environmental cleanup, if material is used,
Sure.
absorbent material or whatever, yeah. But a broom and a dustpan or picking up the guy's,
The bumper. And
bumper,
throwing it, yeah.
no.
Yeah, you see it left at the curb.
Sure.
Yeah, Alderman Chaplesky.
Should we just hold this? And there's got so many questions, instead of just amending it.
Yeah.
just-
Instead of doing it twice,
Yeah,
I'm
just
fine
hold
either
it,
way.
take it.
Okay.
But let's hold it.
Sure,
think
that's the
that'd be
consensus of the committee.
And if we can get some more information, maybe.
Okay.
if anybody
How are other
needs
cities
some.
dealing with it? Do they have, I think I saw the chart, but I didn't see anything about at what point they start charging, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they initiate their billing on other departments. So what direction do you want me to, should I go back with the city attorney then and try to incorporate basically like leaking fluids more, or something that's more
If there's an
distinguishable?
a liquid, a fire,
Okay.
environmental cleanup. I mean, if a car, we don't have any ditches, do we?
Well,
We
if
do,
a
National
truck
Avenue.
full
Someone
of
goes
ball
off
bearings,
a ditch on a National Avenue and there's a cleanup to be done to get it out, to tow it out of there, well, that'd be done by, not you anyway.
if a truck full of ball bearings falls on the ground and Public Works comes with a front end loader, do we bill that?
No?
Did we bill the railroad when they derailment went over Greenfield Avenue?
Yes.
We did. We did that. Okay.
Rather than that.
So I think
I don't know.
if there's an environmental clean, if it's
Yeah.
more than sweeping, picking
Sure.
up bumpers, that kind of a thing, and then I guess for now, put in the proposal for now for the resident versus non-resident to take that out, and then I guess we could talk about that more. Or are you saying skip that for now?
I'd say skip it. I don't
Let's
have-
hold it, talk
Yeah,
about it.
We'll discuss it.
Okay, discuss it.
Yeah,
All
save it
right.
for another day.
Gotta be consistent.
We'll hash it all out.
So I have nothing to do right now.
You have nothing to do.
Okay.
You can do
bell
that.
Well, just some language with the city attorney about the environmental.
And in the
Yeah,
meantime, we're keeping our current billing rate of $500
Correct.
for our non-residents.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Alright, okay. Alright, item 9, resolution awarding the sale of $6.8 million in general obligation
Move
corporate.
approval.
Thank you.
Second.
So a motion from Alderman Weigel, a second from Alderman Chaplesky. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 10, a resolution authorizing $17,850 to increase to the proposal for barriers, security systems to upgrade the city's door lock system at various buildings for a total contract amount of $57,849.
Move approval.
Motion from Alderman May. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Rote. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 11, a resolution approving the 2019 capital improvement program.
Move approval.
All right. Motion from Alderman May, second from Alderman Chaplesky. And any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 12, communication from IT regarding Verizon.
Move to place on file.
Yeah. Thank you. We have a motion from Alderman May. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Weigel. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And the finance director, comptroller submitting checks
Move.
issued.
Move to place on file.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. That's the last agenda item that we have. Is there anything else to properly come before the committee?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Can I just, one thing?
Yes, you sure
That
can.
bond
I-
approval,
Yeah.
it's actually less.
Oh,
than
that's
you
even
read
better.
off.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
6.8?
6830.
It is 6.83 instead of 6.88.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, Peggy just saved us
We could have used that, we could have used that $50,000 for that
That's
study.
the study, yeah.
Highway 100 study.
Because there's extra money doesn't mean we have to
No,
spend it.
that's-
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, thanks everyone. We're adjourned.
What was it, 6 point?